all aboard. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, basketball fans of all ages, I am Beast Mike. You have now arrived on a train of thought. It's time to talk about the NBA Power Rankings. And I know they're a little later than what I expected, but it's going to be some good Saturday morning material for all of you, if you will. And it's also Pie Day. Fun fact, my favorite is apple. Let it be known. Anyway, let's talk about the Fulton, Kentucky Zombie Tier. And surprisingly, Sacramento was not last like I thought they would be. Instead, it's Indiana. Monkey's paw season. Yeah, this is the kind of sacrifice you kind of expect. You get to the NBA Finals, make an incredible run, and then Tyrese Halliburton's Achilles goes boom, and your season's basically fallen and crumbled. The jokes about the Halliburton notwithstanding. Anyway, the Pacers season is still a disaster, and they've lost 10 straight. They are eliminated from the playoffs like a few of these other teams in this tier. And obviously, your next big thing is the NBA draft lottery. Unlike any of these other teams in this tier, I trust that the Pacers will be NBA title contenders once again next season once they get Halliburton and a top tier pick to roll with all those other shooters, and of course Zubac in the middle. I would still draft a forward, but we'll see how Indiana rolls with their draft lottery pick. Washington. Trivia question answer. Yeah, they're going to be the ones, not the Toronto Raptors anymore. They're going to be the trivia question answer of who did Bam Adebayo have the game of his life against and that one random Tuesday night in 2026. Well, that's you guys now. You guys have also lost a lot of games in a row, 10 of them, and are also eliminated from the NBA playoffs. Other than that, there's not much really notable to say about the Wizards this week. Sacramento, not last, which is honestly the most notable thing to say about the Kings. They are not the last team in these power rankings, like I've kind of expected of them and that they've grown into. They even have a couple of wins in the last week, which, okay, good on you, Kings. You're not looking completely awful. You're still trash, but you're not looking completely awful. All right, there's progress being made. At least there's that. Brooklyn, best of eliminated. Yep, needless to say, the Kings are eliminated from playoff contention. So are the Nets. The Nets have been trashed. The Nets have been terrible. We get the idea. Brooklyn continues to have a terrible season. And I think, honestly, of these four teams, probably the least relevant, despite the fact of them being in the biggest city of the four. And that's kind of saying something when it comes to a team in the New York market. Yikes, Brooklyn. Utah got 2 wins. Hey, gotta give it to the Jazz. They didn't go through this week winless. Good. Even though they're obviously mega tanking and not playing any of their best players, they're still finding a way to not be completely trash. They're somehow not eliminated yet either. Not only that, they still got a couple of games to go before they eventually inevitably get eliminated and can focus fully on Danny Ainge's real season, which is the draft lottery, and hoping and praying the ping pong balls finally go the way of the Mormon state. At least you got the Mammoth, though. The Mammoth are looking like a pretty good hockey team, so focus on them, I guess, Jazz fans. Memphis. Could be worse. You just heard worse. And worse in these other particular teams in this tier. It's not looking great. And yes, Triple J leads your team in scoring, but he's playing for the team I just most recently mentioned. That wasn't you. That's not awesome. Cowards looked okay this year. Edie's looked solid as a double-double machine. Okay, cool. We can rock with that. Still averaging a block a game. That's still good. It's just the fact that there's no extra punch when it comes to Memphis. At least not yet. And maybe they can draft it, but other than that, it's just no real punch here. And if a team that can actually scores relatively well early, it seems like these games end pretty quickly when it comes to the Grizzlies. Last 7 of them have ended in losses, but that's kind of par for the course for a lot of this tier. And Dallas, choose wisely. Yeah, there's not a lot of redeemable things when it comes to the Mavericks, obviously. Flag aside, he's been great, but aside from him, you get the idea when it comes to this team. It explains why they've lost 9 of 10 recently, including the beatdown they took from the Cavaliers last night. The bad news is for Dallas, they're going to run it back against Cleveland on Sunday, but this time it's in Cleveland's gym. That's not great, that's not ideal, but the point of it is they're probably going to take another beating from the Cavaliers, and it'll be 10 of 11, and we'll continue this misery for Dallas. Will they get lucky in the lottery again like they did last year? Well, it's going to be almost impossible to do that again, but will they get lucky in the lottery again? I guess we'll see. Fortunately for them, the depth in this lottery this year compared to last is far stronger, so they might not have to get lucky. For that matter, none of these 7 teams will. Or the first couple of teams in the Birmingham, Alabama Monkeys Paw Tier. Chicago, better than February. Well, that's not really that hard to say considering where the bar was. It was basically in hell. But it was not as bad as February was. And they have actually won a few games. Okay, good. Where they didn't win any in February at all. All right, you made some progress. The Bulls are going to miss out on their annual 9th or 10th seed invitational where they end up in the play-in game and probably lose it. At least there's that. At least there's actual progress being made, you guys being terrible. You're not eliminated from the playoffs yet. You still got some time to go for that. But give it a couple of weeks with the way Chicago's been playing. They'll probably end up in this eliminated tier group as well. New Orleans. Queen leads assists? Yeah, your rookie center, yes, I said center, leads your team in assists. That's not ideal. And it's weird because they actually have a couple of good point guards, unlike the Mavericks and a couple other teams here. They actually have decent point guards. But Derek Queen has been pretty solid with the boards and pretty solid with the points. He's basically even on both of them with a little over 11 apiece. Good. I like that. He obviously gets the block shots in. Good. Also sweet. He leads the team in assists, though, with a DeJounte Murray and a few other pieces that are pretty decent at distributing the rock. That's a little wild. The 1-2 punch of Zion Williamson and Troy Murphy are good, though. I like that. I like what I'm seeing from those two guys. And they've stayed, Zion especially, relatively healthy. Great. But that first-round pick you're going to give to the Hawks, that's still kind of gross. I don't love that. Milwaukee. Brutal week. Yeah, I can remix what I said last week about the Bucks and add it here. Here's why. You got your free win against Utah because you're supposed to do that. And then you got beat by 40 by the Magic. That's not great, Bob. Or Bill. Or Giannis. Well, speaking of Giannis, he's back at least. That's a good thing. But Pelle Larrson, I have no idea who he is. He almost gave you 30 tonight. Or last night, I should say, Thursday night. And you got beat by the Heat in the game after Bam's game, which is not great, even though Miami's been playing outstandingly well lately. In a really good draft, it would be nice to have a pick. There's good news and bad news for the Bucks here. They do get one. Unfortunately, it's going to be the Hawks' right to swap. It's a convoluted situation with them and the Pelicans, where that Pelicans pick actually will be the choice between them and Milwaukee. Wherever New Orleans lands, Atlanta's going to take that pick, and then Milwaukee will get the less favorable of the two. It's a real convoluted situation, and at least it gives Milwaukee a pick, but they're going to miss out on a lot of those really, really good freshmen in the draft. So Giannis doesn't necessarily get the help he probably truly needs in Milwaukee, except for Ryan Rollins, who can still ball. Golden State, survive until Steph. So in about a week or so, Steph Curry should get reevaluated, and we'll see if he can actually return for the Warriors. They can make that postseason playoff push. They should still make it. But I guess the problem is they are struggling, obviously, to score without Steph. And is it on the board? Did they get caught? Probably not. But it's not looking great. And if they can survive without Curry, maybe they'll be okay. But it's a matter of, can they get enough offense, to be honest? And if they can, then okay, sure. And right now, they're a game ahead of Portland. But fortunately for them, the West is so bad after the first 10, they should survive. It's just a matter of where they're going to be seated. And if Steph's going to be healthy for the playing games that they'll inevitably play. Speaking of Portland, you're next. Cleveland looks solid. Cleveland, similar to Zach Edey in Memphis, is having a relatively respectable year in this regard. He's a double-double guy, which is good. Obviously, he doesn't have to do as much as the guys with the Grizzlies because Demi Avdija has been a beast, but Avdija is going to have to play for him to remain as such. That would probably be good. Anyway, I like what I'm seeing from Portland as long as Avdija's there. Well, Scoot Henderson hasn't taken that step forward, no, but Avdija playing like an all-star is good, and Cleveland playing a really solid game is also good, and is making them not really regret losing DeAndre Ayton, to be honest, and that's good on them. Again, Portland's made progress, and Memphis should not catch them for the 10 seed. Okay, good, which means a play-in game. Awesome. What will Portland do with it? I guess we'll see. Philadelphia, get healthy now. You're going to have to, and you're falling fast in the Eastern Conference. And all of a sudden, the Southeast is waking up. Well, not Washington, but everybody else in that division is waking up, and quickly. And they have pretty much all passed you. The only exception is Charlotte, and give it time, because the Hornets are coming too. We all knew that Paul George being out for 25 games would be a major hindrance to them. But Embiid basically playing unless he stubs his toe or something is also not great. Even worse, Tyrese Maxey being out for another 2 weeks with his injury is awful. And you did get VJ Edgecombe back, but there's nowhere near enough punch because there's no depth on this team and no bench. If those three guys I mentioned before, the three $200 million guys, if they can all come back for the Sixers, and we'll say when Maxey returns, so we'll say maybe 3 weeks, we'll say end of this month. Give it end of the month, give it first week in April. In that time period, if those three guys can all come back, then okay, maybe, just maybe the Sixers can do something. But in the meantime, between time, I don't trust it. Like the West, Milwaukee may be too far back to catch them for what's currently would be the 9 seed. Charlotte's 10. We'll get to Charlotte later. But it would be really hard to see the Sixers miss the playoffs. It's just not really that hard to see the Sixers actually advance upon entry into them. And LA Clippers, that Spurs game. Every year, there always seems to be that one game that determines a seed, where whether you win it or you lose it, and in most cases, if you lose it, it really, really causes a butterfly effect, and it really screws up where you could land when it comes to the NBA playoffs. We've seen that happen even a couple of years ago. The Nuggets defended their championship and lost to a rookie Wemby and the Spurs. That Spurs loss to Denver really butterfly affected their season, and it caused them to get Minnesota in round 2, and then they lost that series to the Timberwolves, including Game 7 at home. It did not do them well. Maybe this Clippers loss is going to have the Spurs loss to the Spurs win over the Clippers last Friday night could have a similar effect here and could really do some damage to them. How do we know this? Well, they are only a game ahead of Golden State. Despite the Warriors' struggles and injuries, they're only a game ahead of the Warriors for 8-9, where 8 means facing Phoenix, 9 means facing Portland. Sure, you host it if you're the 9-seeded Clippers, or in this case, 9-seeded Warriors, but who knows what that Spurs loss could do to them, and maybe even emotionally, where they had that game and that the hottest team in the game at the time on lock, and up 25, and still found a way to lose in regulation. That is as devastating of a loss as I can see when it comes to a good team losing to a great team. It's a horrible situation. Yes, the Clippers have played better this past week, but if this loss determines a seed, you'll know why, and you'll know what happened here. And we'll give the Clippers credit for bouncing back. I mean, they got a free win against Memphis. You're supposed to do that. And then you beat the Knicks and you beat the Timberwolves. Okay, cool. That's fine. It's just that Spurs loss may be a lingering taste in the mouth for a minute. We're going to go to Wilmington, Delaware for the playoff tier. Toronto, America beats Canada. Once again, America seems to beat Canada in sports. And we've got World Series games 6 and 7 in Toronto. It was the Dodgers who took care of business in games and scenarios where the Dodgers were pretty much dead to rights and found a way to survive anyway. We've all saw what happened with American hockey, where both the men and the women got the job done, both 2-1 games in overtime, both 3-on-3s. Canadian fans hate the 3-on-3, cry about it. You lost. Keep it moving. Anyway, we just saw tonight what happened when American baseball faced Canadian baseball, and the Americans won again, because of course they did. They're the superior team in talent, so naturally them winning the game isn't that surprising. It happened again. America beats Canada. And America's beating Canada a lot in the NBA too, because, well, every other team in the NBA is American. So Toronto is going to be the victim of this a lot. And the Raptors have not had a good run of form recently. They've been kind of sluggish lately. They did win their last game, tonight's game against the Suns, but they have been 4-6 in their last 10. There's a loss to the Pelicans in there, which is kind of gross. And they have not looked, they've looked kind of spotty. And their recent run of form of being only mediocre has gotten them passed up by several teams and or caught by several teams in the Southeast Division. That's not quite nice. One of those teams is Atlanta, League's hottest team. The Southeast is cooking, yes, but no one's cooking like fish grease like the Hawks are, where they've won 8 straight and have absolutely been handling theirs for the last, we'll say, few weeks now. Let's be honest here. Never mind the Tua going to the Hawks thing, though. Good luck, Goose. But the Hawks are absolutely doing their thing, and they have really gotten hot at the right time. Great to see that from the Hawks. Jalen Johnson's played well. They've gotten some great contributions from pretty much everybody else in the lineup here. I'm liking what I'm seeing from the Hawks as they don't look mediocre anymore, or at least for now, they don't look mediocre. You got your free win against VJ Edgecombe and half the Sixers. Okay, cool, fine. But the other wins are also coming in. You got a free win against the Nets. Okay, you're supposed to do that. You got a free win against the Mavs. Okay, you're supposed to do that. Maybe that's the other part of this for the Hawks. It's a simple fact that they were able to beat up on a really weak part of their schedule. That could be the problem here. And they're going to get tested eventually. Like, Orlando on Monday could be a very intriguing game to watch, especially in that division. They also get Houston next week. It's going to be a test. There's a Mavericks free win in between, but they got Orlando and Houston next week. That should be interesting to watch. And a game against Milwaukee that the Bucks got to have. That's also coming up. We'll see what Atlanta's capable of and see if they can stay hot. Orlando, everyone's pitching in. For the Magic, you kind of expect it from Paolo Banchero. You kind of expect it for Desmond Bane, considering the draft picks that he was acquired for. Jalen Suggs also playing well since he's returned from injury. Good luck on the Magic's part, as they've been scorching hot as well. They've won 6 straight and have looked very impressive in doing it. You also got a Cavs win in there, and that's part of the reason why I got Orlando ahead of Atlanta, the degree of difficulty in their streak as opposed to the one that Atlanta's had. Not to mention the fact that Orlando has all of a sudden creeped into the 5 seed, which I like what I'm seeing there because they could maybe give Cleveland a run if they could actually get the perimeter shooting down. Good. They just beat Cleveland earlier this week, like I mentioned. Good. They went to Minnesota and blew out the Timberwolves. Really impressive there. That's why Orlando's ahead of them. And yeah, they got your free win against the Wizards, though it took overtime to get it. I like the showdown that's coming tonight, though, where Orlando is facing their Floridian rival in the name of Miami. But before we get to them, there's Charlotte first, keeping Southern pace. I mentioned Orlando and Atlanta have both been dominating lately and winning 8 and 6 games in a row, respectively. Charlotte doesn't have a streak like that, but they've won 8 of 10, so naturally, they are keeping up relatively well, and they're actually over 500 definitively. Good on Charlotte for that, for considering how bad their season started. They are getting it together and looking like a very respectable playoff team. Now, I don't know how well they can do in them unless they're hitting their threes, but I like what I'm seeing from them, and it's on the board that they can win this division even. They're only down by 4 games. It's doable. Can Charlotte keep this up, though? I would like to think so, but I guess we'll see. Now back to Florida, and we're going to go with the Heat next. Bam Legacy Night. That's what happened here with Bam Adebayo. He was tremendous, obviously. 83 points, and it was absurd to watch what Bam was able to do. Obviously, it's the second most points scored in an NBA game. He still got the picture with the paper. Good. I'm liking what I'm seeing there. Great work. They also got a 30-piece nearly from Pelle Larrson. Yeah, I didn't think I would mention him twice in a particular power rating video, but it's the truth. It's the truth. Not Paul Pierce, but it's the truth. Pelle Larrson almost gave Milwaukee 30. Doc Rivers, what are you doing? Anyway, Miami continuing to stay hot as well, and they needed to do that. They needed to stay hot if they were going to do anything when it came to the playoffs, and they may even win their division as well. This division's become a 4-team race, and it's going to be a fun 4-team race, I would say. Phoenix, 3-game gauntlet. Never mind the fact that they lost to Toronto. Okay, fine, that happens. Came down to a last-second shot. Last few minutes, I should say. Good on you. Fine, Toronto, you got the job done. But this ain't about that when it comes to the Suns. This is about what's coming up next for Phoenix. It's going to get real nasty real fast. The good news is the Suns are off for the weekend. The bad news is their next game is against Boston on Monday. Oh, And also, Boston having Tatum back, he looks like he's in midseason form. And you don't have Dylan Brooks to try to stop him and or Jaylen Brown is on a warpath. Yeah, it's not great. After that, you have only one star player to deal with per se in terms of a top 10 guy, Anthony Edwards, who's giving Cats 40 on a nightly basis. It seems like he's only done that 10 times this year. That's not fun, especially without a defensive stalwart like Brooks. And then you go to San Antonio, where the Spurs have destroyed everything in their path for the most part, as long as they're fully healthy. And they absolutely destroyed you by 30 plus or so the last time you went to San Antonio a few weeks ago. That's not quite nice. It's not a great run of form, at least not a really nice part of the schedule for Phoenix coming up this week. Good luck. You're going to probably need it. Houston, shakiest contender. The Rockets have had a little bit of spotty run of form, I would say. They've gotten some wins, sure. They won tonight. They escaped against New Orleans. But it doesn't feel like Houston has been kind of better than mediocre over the last few weeks. Yeah, you also got destroyed by the Spurs and by the Nuggets in back-to-back nights. Back-to-back games, I should say. That's not nice. And you had 3 days to prepare for Denver, too, and got absolutely obliterated. That's not fun at all. In any event, their schedule starts to get a little dicey as well over the next few days, and maybe for that matter week, to be honest. You got the Lakers twice, which is not quite nice considering what the Lakers have done, and the Hawks, who have been the hottest team in the game, and you got the Heat, who have also played pretty well, as I've mentioned previously. Can Houston keep this up? And for that matter, as we've learned anything, if you have a bad week in the Western Conference, especially if you're from anywhere from 3 to, we'll say, the 7 seed, you could end up back in the play-in game. That's how close seeds 3 through 7 are in the West in the NBA this year. Minnesota is one of those other teams in this particular jumble. A new QB. Yeah, Kyler Murray's gone to the Vikings. He's going to be their QB1, it would look like. But this ain't about him necessarily. This is about what the Timberwolves are doing. Minnesota needed this win tonight badly against Golden State, and it got the job done. Get on you, Minnesota. Anthony Edwards, like I mentioned, his 10th 40 burger of the year. Great work by Anthony Edwards. He has absolutely been a machine at different points. Gobert and Randall are both doing their thing. Randall still leads the team in assists. That's impressive, considering he's a big, though he's always been a pretty good passer. Good look on Minnesota for getting back on track. They needed to do that in the worst way possible. Minnesota's schedule is also not quite nice. It has been a theme of the Western Conference. You are basically running through a gauntlet for the most part. You have the aforementioned Suns on Tuesday, but you got the Thunder first, but that comes Thursday. And Edwards with SGA. Let's go. Let's see that. You get a free win against Utah, and then after that, it's Portland and then Boston. And that's also not quite nice. At least the Celtics game is. In Portland, we'll see. We'll see what the Blazers can do. Anyway, big week for Minnesota, who, if they keep winning, they could probably get back up to the 3 seed where they were just as recently as a week and a half ago, to be honest. It's absolutely insane to see what's going on in the Western Conference, especially seeds 3 through 7. And now we're going to go to Moynihan and New York City for the title tier. LA Lakers, Luka surging. Luka has had to carry them at different points this week, and for different reasons. Triple-doubles have been included in there. A 50-burger was included in there. The Lakers are starting to play better as a team, but it's really especially because Luka Doncic has been absolutely relentless when it comes to putting up the numbers. And this showdown against Denver coming up is going to be fun to watch tonight. ABC's got the game. That's going to be really good stuff. But Luka is trying to kind of get into the MVP conversation, kicking and screaming. The 50 piece he dropped was almost a triple-double. He was an assist shy of it against the Bulls. The fact that he needed to do that against the Bulls is kind of weird, but he got the job done. That's the important thing. The Lakers are doing their thing. Good on you for Luka Doncic. DeAndre Ayton, can you be a little bit more consistent? And you're going to be tested against Luka Doncic tonight. You'll need the luck, I think, way more than anyone else will for this particular game. Speaking of Denver, you're next. Not the norm. Normally, the Nuggets are not that great of a fourth quarter team. And then in San Antonio, they showed probably the best fourth quarter they've played all year, to be honest, where it felt like they did not miss, especially when Jokic and Murray, and namely Murray, had the ball in their hands in the quarter. Murray gave the Spurs 40. Jokic had a 30, 20, 10 plus triple-double, and it took all of that plus the surrounding cast doing bits and pieces of things here and there to drop an 80 piece on the Spurs in the second half of that game and get out of San Antonio with a win. Now, sure, Wemby didn't play in the game, but San Antonio had a monster lead in the first half of that game and somehow managed to lose said game. Good on Denver for making a comeback. So this is more so about Denver winning it, I would say, than the Spurs losing. Great work on the Nuggets' part there. And they probably needed it to keep up with the gauntlet that is the Western Conference that is coming. The two top teams in Oklahoma City and San Antonio have separated themselves, I think, from everyone else. But everyone that's jammed in that bundle in the West has kind of got to fight. And home court advantage is going to be real vital for whoever gets it. Cleveland, second round ceiling. There's a reason why they're going to be the fourth best team in the East I mentioned in these power rankings. Quite simply, I just don't think they're better than fourth. I don't think they're better than the other teams ahead of them in the Western Conference. I just don't see it. I just don't see where that would be. Quite honestly, they feel like a second round team because I don't trust them in the playoffs enough. They have shown themselves to choke heavy in the playoffs as a team. And you just acquired the greatest choker in the modern era in the NBA in James Harden when it comes to playoff play. Yes, they've been fine when it comes to the play, since Harden especially. But it's just when the lights are the brightest, they seem to show up the least. That concerns me. We'll see if Cleveland can quell these concerns, or they are going to have them louder because they have not figured things out. Well, I guess we'll see. You got a free win against Dallas tonight, that's fine. But when they faced Boston last week, it was ugly, and they were outplayed. We'll see what Cleveland can especially do. They really aren't going to be tested for a while until maybe the Orlando game in 10 days. I guess that's their next test, and then a couple of games with the Heat, which should be actually pretty entertaining and interesting. New York, schedule lightens up. I mentioned with a lot of the Western teams that the schedule gets incredibly heavy, I should say, for several of the Western teams that are in that jumble. Cleveland's schedule is incredibly light, but so are the Knicks. The Knicks' schedule gets real light with some potential free wins in play. Golden State's not a free win, but it's a game that the Knicks probably should win, and should win rather comfortably. And then the Pacers, which is a free win, and the Nets are a free win, and the Wizards are free wins. And the home game that will be at Barclays Center for the Knicks will be kind of wild, but true. The Pelicans should be close to a free win, unless Zion and Troy Murphy go God mode. The Hornets game's going to be fun, but that's a next Thursday thing. That's an end of month almost thing. And then the Thunder game is an absolute showdown. The schedule then gets heavier with Charlotte and OKC than Houston at the end of the month. But the 5-game run in between, this is where the Knicks can really make hay. And maybe perhaps a 4-1 type of run can keep them ahead of Boston. It can allow them to catch Boston. They're only a game behind them. We'll see if they can actually get the job done and catch the Celtics, who are next on the list. Tatum looks good. He's looked like he's in rare form, which is good on you. They kind of sort of needed that. And what they didn't need was what happened with Jaylen Brown, who honestly in the Spurs game on Tuesday probably shouldn't have been ejected. That was a tech, sure. But I think the ref had a little bit quick of a trigger finger for the second one. At least the second one was warranted, but the first one probably shouldn't have been. And honestly, I think Jaylen Brown only should have got one tee. Even with that was a game against the Spurs where no Tatum, fine, but the Celtics shooting with Pritchard and company did show up and showed up well. Well, that is until the very end when San Antonio's talent basically overwhelmed the Celtics for the last, we'll say, 4 minutes of that particular game. They may or may not be able to catch Detroit, but I'm not sure they'll have to beat the Pistons, to be honest. They look like they match up fairly well with them as long as their shooting holds up. But can they keep ahead of the Knicks before what could be an impending round 2 showdown with Boston to see with New York to see who has home court advantage, A, and B, who wins this rematch? As we saw last year, this game and series should have ended Boston in 5. Instead, Tatum's Achilles got popped and the Knicks won in 6. We'll see if they have a rematch, what may happen. Speaking of the Pistons, they're Nets. A Nets loss? Okay, sure. I don't know if I trust Detroit against anybody in the West if they make the finals. I don't think I love them against... I know I don't love them against the Spurs. The Spurs have taken their physicality and said, okay, that's cute. The Thunder, though they've beaten OKC, that was without SGA and Jalen Williams. I don't know if I trust them against the Thunder either. Denver, if they were to face them in the finals, I don't love their chances against the Nuggets. But the Nets beat the Pistons last week? Believe it or not, that actually happened. That is a weird thing to say, but it actually happened. Good on Brooklyn for making that happen. It's just the fact that that's just one of those shocking things you don't see every day. Detroit will be fine. There's no need to overly panic. It's just a weird thing that goes on here. And, okay, the Pistons did get their lick back in spades and beat them by 38 the next time they saw them. Great. Good look on that by Detroit. It's just the fact that they went 1-1 as opposed to Detroit not winning those two games by combined 60 is a little different to see that. I was not ready for that. Still, Detroit's going to be fine. Like I said before, Cade will still be great. The defense surrounding him will still handle theirs. They'll be all right. It's just a weird anomaly that happened this year in the NBA. Oklahoma City, SGA returns. He looks back and better than ever. He does. He looks back to his normal stuff. He just passed Will Chamberlain for most 20-point games in a row. That's hard to do because Will Chamberlain was like that. Anyway, Boston played a great game against OKC earlier this week. There's no shame in the loss for the Celtics. That was a great finish down the stretch as well. As the Thunder have had some really, really good games lately in terms of entertainment. They had that bar-for-bar game with Jokic and Murray and dealing with SGA, where SGA hit 2 clutch shots, the latter of which was a 3 to win the game and take care of business against the Nuggets. It's a shame that they don't play the Spurs anymore, at least until maybe the conference final. But they look like they may be able to hold off San Antonio for the 1 seed, considering Denver snatched one away from the Spurs last night, Thursday night, and the Thunder were able to snatch one away from Boston. So that's a huge 2-game swing in the Western Conference. But we'll see if they can hold off San Antonio. Award watch. Victor Wembanyama is easily the best defensive player this year and should win Defensive Player of the Year without much of a problem. But here is the problem. It's not his play, it's whether he's playing. The rule is 65 games. You have to play in 65 to qualify for the awards and all the other stuff that comes with it. Victor Wembanyama can only miss 3 more games before he is ineligible for winning said award. It's the said awards, where it may include MVP. And he will become just the 4th to do such a thing. He had Jordan in 87, Hakeem in 94, Giannis in 2021. It's happened 3 times in NBA history with those guys. Victor Wembanyama has a real shot to become the 4th. The problem is he's going to have to play all but 3 games down the stretch to make that happen. He's got 3 games left of a window. And if he does that, cool. He'll easily win Defensive Player and may win MVP. But if he doesn't, the Defensive Player of the Year award is pretty wide open. And Jokic will just win another MVP because, of course, he will. And that's a shame that Wemby would lose based off of missing a certain amount of games. But that's the path that we are in right now. And we'll see if Wemby will be healthy enough to claim the awards that he rightfully has earned. And there you have it. That is this week's Power Rankings. Coming up on Monday, Miami Mock Mondays return to Mondays. Volume 8. There's been some free agent signings. How will they affect what I do when it comes to the mock drafts? Will the draft itself play out differently based off what's gone on around the NFL? I'm sure it will, but we'll see how it does and where I may go. I know Miami's made some moves at receiver, have made some moves at corner, have made some moves at edge rusher, especially. Do they go guard? Do we go with the tackles? We'll see how that goes. Austin Jackson stays, so we got that answer. What happens with the Dolphins mock? That will be the first stop of my next train of thought.